This is my second time going live. I'm gonna look at one of my favorite books. Going to wait and see who wants to join. Hi, Mike. Waiting to see who else is gonna pop in and before I get cracking right now. Welcome everyone that's joining us. This is my second time going live. Waiting for a few more people to join. Give some people the chance to look at this book. Get to look at books together and be nerds during this time. This book is about post-apocalyptic vision. And oh, Mike, you want to know about the photo in the background? I shot that while I was in Montana last year for this retreat, and I was in Montana for like a week, a little longer, and drove all around the state by myself, and found this incredible little piece of land and pulled over off the highway and ran across the freeway and snapped a picture. I've got a whole ton of pictures from that time and that I was in Montana. It was an incredible place. Mike, you need to go to Montana. Such a humbling place. Very crazy. Montana, the best. Go. Great skate parks too. Friends are starting to show up. Yo, 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 yo. Took everybody a few minutes. Yeah, Mike. Well, in due time. But Montana's not going anywhere. Bros, I guess I'm going to talk about this for like 1 minute longer to stall and see if anybody else wants to hop in before I start flipping through pages. Last time I was on here for like an hour, which is way longer than I want to be. So I'm going to try to like kind of burn through this a little bit in comparison to the last time. This book is by Todd Hido. He's one of my favorite photographers. While I was in Montana last year, I got to hang out with him for a week. He spoke about, oh no, poor connection. Okay, we're back. Todd Hido, great guy, great artist, incredible photographer. I've learned a lot from him and his process and wanted to share one of his books with you guys today. This book is called Bright Black World, and it is his vision of a post-apocalypse. And a lot of these photos were shot in Norway. Normally, he shoots in very few particular places in North America. So this was a bit of a departure for him. But from what I have read, he was just stunned by the geography and his experience in Norway. And so he couldn't help but take tons of pictures there and turn it into some work. And it's just bleak and beautiful. So I guess with that, I'm gonna start to open this up. And this is a huge book. I don't know the exact dimensions, but I'd guess it's like 13 by 19. So it's pretty big. And when you sit with this book in your lap and open it up, it's really, you're living inside the images. And so it's super engaging. And all right, let's see. This might be a bit of a struggle with this one to kindergarten style it. Especially there's a bunch of fold out. Oh no. There's a bunch of fold out pages in here as well that might get complicated, but we'll deal with it together. So this is the first picture in the book, and this is like one of my favorites. It's absolutely gorgeous. The tundra. Thank you, Yella. Oh. gorgeous. So I don't know how much I'm going to have to say about it, all of these pictures, because a lot of them are just, beautiful. So I'm just going to flip through, but give me an emoji or a chat or something if you guys want me to go back to a page or stay a little bit longer or have any questions in particular. And so Todd Hido really has started to take a lot of pictures in his car. And so a lot of this atmosphere and softness is due to his car windshield, which is usually covered in like rain or condensation or something like that, in order to add like an extra layer of depth, which was pretty unique to him for a very long time. This picture is stunning. Title page, Bright Black World. Some great text in here, which gives a little context to the post-apocalyptic vision. The end sends advanced warning. Molten suns and empty roads, barren hillsides like swelling oceans, windows like blocks of ice. We learn the signs, but to warn us, the end must let another speak for it. This is the artist who throws his colors into the inferno, stoking the fire. Without him, the end would not know itself, could not reckon its score of starving trees and shrunken shores. Just the first paragraph to kind of set up a little bit of the vibe and not get all the way into it. And then it's like a classic Todd Hido photo right at the intro to the book. And there's a ton of details in this book that are going to be almost impossible to pick up on due to being live and on the iPhone and everything, but it is what it is. You guys will get the idea. I'll point out the little things that I can. So this is one of those gatefolds that goes vertical. Gorgeous picture. And he kind of sets that person up as the protagonist for like a little bit of a journey. And it says in text right here, it's been said that Inuits have many words to describe white. As the polar snow caps melt faster than we have ever imagined, I wonder how long it will be before we have as many words to describe darkness. Moving right along. This little house on the hillside, way off in the distance. And then we move right into an internal shot where it looks like some picture frames had hung, and then there'd been just some type of atmospheric damage to the walls, water, fire, smoke. Really, with some John Davola vibes here. And then moving from interior back to another outside shot. Just sun breaching through fog. Yeah, see, it's like hard to be able to see all the details in here, especially with like the glare from the light. But again, you guys get the idea. And got this road, and puddles, and the tire tracks. And snowstorm. This is just beautiful. all that atmosphere. Again, just the light breaching through the sky. All those color tones. Blue through red and the grays. Another just amazing set of tire tracks through the snow on the tundra. Really starting to feel cold and alone right now. And just in time for a stop at a motel. To just kind of like, I guess, remind the viewer that this is just a journey. It's just a vision, that maybe this isn't permanence, and this is a state of mind that is we can check in and out from. Again, you can kind of tell this is through the windshield with like some water in the foreground, softening parts of the frame. Again, creating that sort of feeling of distance. Same thing going on here. Hey James. Going through Todd Hido's book, Bright Black World, right now. Not quite halfway through it. Flipping through the pages. Let me know if you see anything you want me to stop on. Or you have any questions about it. It's very big, so I'm trying my best to handle this, and you can see this factory way off in the distance. It's a different sense of scale and distance than Todd Hido usually shoots in, and which really creates this interesting vibe in comparison to the rest of his work. Feels really, really distant and alone and isolated. And you know, the interesting part about this project, from what I understand, these are some of the few photos where he wasn't alone to shoot them. With a lot of these, he had an assistant driving him. And so even though he was shooting from the car with most of them, as he has done for a long time, he wasn't alone. And so despite the feeling of distance and isolation that these have, which is, again, very distinct, he was with someone else. I don't know how many. It's not something he speaks about, but interesting to think about nonetheless with the creation. All of these, you can barely see it, but all of these little buildings and pieces of civilization way, way far away. But then kind of passing through these little bits of civilization. Some of these are super contrasty too, in comparison to like some of the softer ones. Hey Shane, looking at Todd Hido's Bright Black World right now, just flipping through the pages, kind of talking about things that come up. Let me know if you have any questions or want me to go back to anything or blah, blah, blah. A big shift in the focus of his photos in this book, as he kind of oscillates from taking pictures of homes and culture and just little remnants of mankind to just full-blown landscapes, and really working on that whole feeling of isolation and desolateness that kind of comes with this idea of being in the post-apocalyptic world, which the text in the front really sets up. And again, feels super appropriate for everything we're living through right now. Again, that softness of the frame that he's so famous for with the windshield. All of these crazy snowstorms and just atmosphere that he loves to shoot in and shoot through to just add some depth and texture to the frame. Oh, this one's great. This one is really gives me the vibes of a Polar Night, like Mark Mahaney's project that just came out, but this was obviously shot way before that. But it's always nice to see those synchronicities between different artists. Some house here just totally covered in snow. Super dark image, but let's see if you guys can see some more details. Again, this is a really big book. It's, I think, 13 by 19, and so it takes some work to kind of dodge around here and be able to show you guys kindergarten style. Oh, but all of these beautiful subtleties in the tones. And the sky just breaching through the sun breaching through the sky, rather. Again, all of these just subtleties and landscapes that borderline on abstractions, kind of recalling some Minor White style work. Oh, this is one of my favorites. This is one that you're not going to be able to appreciate well on the phone, but here's the whole thing. Beautiful blues, whites, blacks, and then as you pull in closer, you have this house off in the distance that's just a little light on, which recalls, you know, his more familiar work, but much greater distance and isolation. And then you shift from those blues into, now we have these reds and oranges that are really startling within the landscape. Because this is like normally the type of color that would be like man-made. And to be alone out in the distance like that, it's hard to justify how these colors showed up like that. Oh, I think this is another gatefold. So we've got this landscape here. Oh, this is the huge gatefold. Yeah, totally. This is a lot like Joel's Maritz's book. Okay, let me figure out. This is like a full-blown 20 by 30 fold out. Some of these are digital and some are film. I think it's primarily digital though, from what I have gathered. Let me figure out. I think I'm gonna put this on the table and go vertical over it. Got my super high-tech home studio here. It's my iPad on my coffee table. Yeah, all of these tones through the clouds. Gorgeous. Now I gotta fold it back up. Thanks for staying with me. Such a unique little book to deal with. All right, and you guys are back on the table. And there we go. Welcome back. Gorgeous silhouetted landscape with the clouds and the sun. And then this crazy, he must have shot some of these when there was a fire going on or something, because I have no idea how else this color could have really happened in the sky. It's insane. And then in passing through some familiar territory for him. Right back to another internal shot, just one of a few in this whole project. Again, really some John Davola vibes in the house, and this looks like there must have been a fire, and this is like water damage from putting out the fire and streaking and around these picture frames. Maybe like a TV or mirror or something there. Just all of these at the bottom. So incredible. Around the power outlet. So cool. And then now all of a sudden it's almost like being on the moon in this picture with the light that has got to be headlights from the car. But it just looks like how you would imagine like footage from The Martian or something, like exploring the alien planet in the darkness. I'm not sure if he's spoken too heavily about his editing process for the digital work. I know that he shoots like crazy on digital. When we were with him in Montana, he was bragging about like filling up like a handful of cards, and I've never filled a card ever. So that's just so many pictures. I know that when it comes to, like, he is really big about making high quality prints and printing out his work and allowing it to live. So he was explaining that his process of editing pictures is that he will edit a picture right away. If it sits on his computer or however he's editing for too long, he can't do it. So he has to do it right away. And then he'll print it out, hang it on the wall, and basically just allow all of his pictures to live out like that. And the ones that last the longest end up becoming a project, and he just slowly edits them away. I've actually got a different little project by him that I bought from him while we were in Montana. That's these little playing cards called B-Sides. And they are super cool because it's all of these amazing pictures that just never made it into final bodies of work. And he has been selling those. He's done a few different editions with a few different artists. I think he did Ed Templeton, he did himself, and he did somebody else recently. And those are really cool. Yeah, it's super rad. I have those, and maybe I'll share with you guys on a different date. We're getting to the end of the book now, and I wanted to try to keep this at like 30 minutes or so, and so I'm doing good on time. This is like, looks like some type of firework situation or stars. It's definitely fireworky. Again, just kind of like playing with that idea of like apocalypse, and maybe like this was a nuclear fallout type thing. I don't know. And then another one of these beautiful, beautiful, very, very dark landscapes where right in the distance is a little window, someone's home. You can presume, again, familiar territory for Todd, just light in the darkness, but just so much further away, and you really get that feeling of space. And again, like when you're sitting with this in your lap, and it's like, if you have the right mood lighting and you're in the room and you're just sitting here, it's like you're in this picture. You could just fall in. It's outstanding. A lot of that has to do with the scale. Nazraeli Press really killing it on this one. Classic Iceland Gorgeous. All of the little crosses. And then you've got sunset or sunrise. It's hard to tell whether you're coming out of the darkness or just moving through one day to another. With just the pinks and purples reflecting there. Gorgeous. And then right back to another motel photo. This one's like, I think is an older picture of Todd's that I feel like I've seen in a few different places, and it was kind of an interesting decision to throw this one in at the end. But like I was saying earlier, I think it kind of is supposed to be a recall for the viewer, like, hey, you're just kind of checking in and checking out, and this is what it can be like on the other side of the apocalypse, but not there permanently right now. And coming towards the end of the book, super contrasty digital image. Again, these crazy oranges in the sunlight. Some birds in the trees. And that's all. And you know what's a little funny? One of my friends that I borrowed this book from found a little typo in the back there, which is rare to find in someone like Todd's work. I'd also like to that the Nordic Light International Festival. Meant to say thank. Did not get caught in the editing process, so I guess that makes this a little bit rarer, cooler. There's only 3,000 of these printed in the first edition, and you know, I've got one of them. And for those of you just joining, I just finished flipping all the way through Todd Hido's Bright Black World. Few of you joining now right at the end. I want to thank everybody that tuned in and watched me flip through this book. It is super beautiful book and definitely captivating. Glad that I have it on my shelves, and it's an interesting time to look at this book about what the apocalypse could look like given how dark and scary everything is in the world right now. So I guess just because a couple of you guys tuned in, let me just show a couple pictures that are my favorites. Absolutely, man. Thanks for tuning in. Just a quick scan through some of these. In review. Bright Black World. Thank you guys. Thank you, Todd, as well.